Today we're going to speak about women's mental health with an amazing young entrepreneur and leader who is forging an important path in both business and her community. Melissa Fournier is a brand new partner at BDO and has recently been named the national leader of the firm's Women Driving Growth Network, which is BDO's network of clients and staff for women in business. The topic we're going to talk about today specifically is going to be the hidden costs of perfectionism among high-performing women. Using BDO's Women Driving Growth Network as an example, we're going to explore the value as well of supportive networks amongst women at different stages of their careers that allow us to create safe spaces for creativity, for support, and for innovation. So really happy to have you here, Melissa.
Thank you.
I've known Melissa for many years.
Yes.
And I can attest to your fantastic skills as a consultant, as a communicator, and a problem solver. So welcome. Really, really glad that you were able to join us today, and very grateful. We'll start off with a big thank you for your donation to our campaign. It's going to go a long way to supporting accessible, meaningful, customized care for women and men and youth at the Royal. So big thank you for that.
Of course.
So maybe to start off, give me a bit of a sense of your journey. You've had a pretty rapid rise in the firm as leadership, and but talk to me a little bit about yourself first and your role at the firm.
Yeah, so I am a local Ottawa native, grew up here in the West End, grew up always playing sports, hockey, soccer in the summertime, so really filled my time with that. After university, I was struggling to figure out what I wanted to do, and knew of consulting. My father was in the same industry, so reached out to a local partner at BDO at the time after I graduated, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And he was a really great mentor of mine, and ultimately I landed a spot at BDO, and I have not left. So I started an internship and decided to stick around full-time after that, and I have really grown up in the firm. I've occupied all of the different levels, and as you said, sort of rapidly made advancement, just the type of person that I am, and this sort of ambitious nature in myself as well. And so I made partner this year after 9 years of the firm, so one of the youngest female partners in the firm's history as well.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. So it's really exciting, and it's cool to be that person for a lot of the younger female staff, being able to look up to me as well.
So talk to me about those personality traits. Let's unpack that as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman. Unpack that. How do you show up?
I definitely, this idea of perfectionism, I think, has always been something that's driven my personality. Like I said, I've grown up playing sports, so I've always been someone who has that drive within them, leadership qualities, this desire to perform at a really high level as well. And so I think it's manifested for me into always setting goals for myself, always trying to reach those goals, really trying to be the best that I can be in kind of every facet of my life. Sometimes that's a lot, but really trying to be kind of the best at what I'm doing.
So is there a downside to that? And are there limits to that? And if so, how do you navigate all of those?
Yeah, there are definitely limits, and I think I've experienced some of those, kind of the cusp of burnout. I don't know if I have experienced burnout or not. I feel like it's one of those things that sometimes you don't know until you can step away and realize that was a lot. But definitely I think, it's sometimes manifesting in not wanting to go to the gym because I'm feeling really busy, and that's something that I really used for my own mental health and physical health as well, for not having time for my spouse or for my friends and family because I'm feeling really, in the weeds with work, things like that. So I think this idea of perfectionism and this almost like you're running in a rat wheel where you're running faster and faster without really having a break to say, okay, do I get it to rest now? It's this idea of constantly running and running without this real stop and pause.
Yeah. Do you see that in your clients? Like, we are in the same business where you go in, you do assessments of organizational practices, organizational culture. Like, what are you seeing in terms of your clients in either that behavior and the costs of that behavior in an organization's wellness?
100%. I mean, I think too often we see organizations, and I think everywhere right now, there are capacity issues. So not enough people to do everything that an organization might want to. And ultimately, that just means that you have to be really realistic and set realistic expectations, especially in what we're doing as professions. But I think just generally in everyone's lives, being able to set realistic expectations of yourself so that it's not overburdening, it's not overwhelming. Because I think I've definitely had clients where you can tell they're on the cusp of a burnout and taking on too much, but there's really no other solution because it all falls to them.
Yeah.
So definitely I think you start seeing this culture of overwork, overburden, and I think that can have a real impact on employees' mental well-being.
Yeah, no, for sure. It has a big cost here, economically as well as personally, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your environment, your business environment. So at BDO, you are playing a leadership role in the Women Driving Growth Network, if we got that right. And you had me at an event a little while ago, and I was blown away by, apart from the interesting topic that we were debating on the panel, and really blown away by the community that created. The women in that room, and there were many, who were like all kind of rowing in the same direction around seeking support, having a safe place to have conversations, and we were all business owners. So is that the goal that you have from that network, and how is that playing out? Are you seeing an increased demand from women business owners to have those kinds of networks that support? Is that working well?
Yeah, I think, all too often we hear stories of people and women in particular that are crushing it on paper and then privately they feel like they're one mistake away from it all falling apart, and you might never know that. So with Women Driving Growth, it's really all about creating safe spaces, leadership opportunities, connections, shared experiences among women leaders, business leaders, but really across all industries and all levels too. So future leaders, executives, all those in between. And it's really about trying to bring women together to connect on those shared experiences. So sometimes it could be perfectionism or mental health. Sometimes it could be industry experiences that are really specific to women or to a specific problem, and again, they don't have anywhere to turn or that network to be able to use. So it's really trying to use our programming to bring women together, and it's something that we keep hearing about in terms of there's lots of initiatives that I think try to do that, but it's really powerful when you get to bring all those women together and everyone can connect on the same thing. Everyone has that shared experience, and because you were in the room there, it was a really almost magical feeling where everyone felt really empowered by the discussion and could relate to the fact that it was a shared experience as well. So I think honestly there's power in just bringing people together to connect and have that open dialogue about it. And definitely I think we've seen a lot of uptake and desire in the market for that as well.
Yeah. One of the big things that I came away from that event, and I'd be curious to get your perspective on it, because it might be the antidote to sort of the cost of perfectionism, is the courage to be vulnerable and to say, whether you're on a panel or whether you're talking over coffee with someone, to say, I can't do it all, or I have no idea what I'm doing in this room. Fake it till you make it, or whatever the expression is. So that vulnerability is hard for us as women? It's hard for everybody probably, but it's hard for us as women who are, as you first introduced yourself, as an ambitious person who's driven, has a lot of goals, a lot of curiosity. So, I mean, have you struggled with vulnerability in any way? And because, yeah, you might have a superhero cape,
Yeah.
but you're also human. So maybe talk a little bit about vulnerability on your perspective, but also on some of the women in that network. Are you seeing that and people being more comfortable to sort of put themselves out there?
Yeah, I think, again, today's society really puts women in particular on a pedestal that are high achieving, everything to everyone. You know, you have to be a flawless professional, attentive parent, attentive spouse, you have to be fit, you have to do all of these things. And I think today's society really also puts power to those things. So sometimes in my own personal view, you know, that can also manifest in being afraid to be viewed as weak.
Yeah.
And so being vulnerable can be really difficult, where you almost have this mask where you feel like you have to be all of these things to everyone in order to be successful. And I think trying to, and this is my own personal challenge, but also trying to give myself a bit of grace sometimes to say, you know, progress over perfection sometimes. It's okay to take breaks, but being vulnerable, I think, is always difficult for somebody who has that, myself included, where, again, I don't want to be viewed as weak. And I feel like that could be a detriment to my own professional success, potentially. So really trying to have and create spaces where it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to say, I've gone through that too, or I have that same tiny thought in the back of my head saying, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
So I definitely think trying to open up those spaces so that it's okay to be vulnerable in a safe space as well, and still amplify leadership, because
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, there's always, you know, a need for how are we going to manifest this into our lives, and use this as sort of an amplification, or use this as our power as well.
Yeah, I love that you said that. It's like a superpower if you harness it. Because, again, the way that you introduced yourself at the beginning, you talked about the pride you have in being a new leader, and that being someone that younger leaders are now looking up to. And so being able to take that step and be vulnerable is a powerful message, sort of leading by example for those women that are, and men coming up, right? So, but it's tough. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think, you know, I think I see a lot in the younger generation, a desire for more emotional intelligence and for really that personal side of work.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to see different generations also, where, again, I am a young partner where I know other female partners grew up in probably a very different environment where it wasn't okay to be like that. So I'm trying to bridge those gaps a little bit, and I do think I see a lot in our young female staff, this desire to, you know, have this more open dialogue. And sometimes, again, you have to keep it real and tell them it's okay, I've been there.
Yeah.
I have had this exact same feeling or this same thought, and I still have it.
Yeah.
Sometimes every day.
Yeah.
But it's okay, and we're going to get through it together. So.
Yeah, I love that. Talk to me a little bit about that demographic clash, though, because I hear what you're saying. There's a generation, maybe in our parents' generation, or maybe not that far away, where it is suck it up, get shit done, don't complain, do what you have to do, and then maybe younger generation, including us, coming in a little bit and having that balance. What's the biggest challenge you have in confronting those clashes? Is it in the kind of business you're in? Is there a challenge? Is it a communication issue? Is it an education issue?
I think it's a combination of things, and I think that's where, you know, trying to, in Women Driving Growth, as an example, trying to bring the right people in a room together to where they have that shared experience sometimes. You know, it might not be as helpful to have somebody in an executive position and somebody who's a future leader in the same room. And sometimes it is where they can kind of connect as more of a mentor-mentee relationship. But we're also trying to bring together, all future leaders in a room together so that it gives them the opportunity to network, to build connections, something that I think a lot of young women struggle with early on in their careers, is trying to find the right support network around them that will kind of see them through their career as well. So I think it's just about trying to recognize that people grew up in different times in society, and honestly, it's, the same approach or the same thing is not going to work for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to me, you've kindly donated money to the campaign, and of course your time and your talent to this event. What is your connection to mental health in the community? Do you have specific goals that either you want to, and specific experiences as well, growing up perhaps, or in your early parts of your business, that are meaningful to you from a mental illness, mental health perspective? And then a second question from that perspective is, what do you hope to achieve with your platform as BDO and maybe your women's network as well? So maybe talk to me a little bit about that.
I mean, I think everyone's been touched by mental health at some point in their lives. Definitely, I think both personally and professionally. I mentioned growing up and in sports, and in particular the hockey community, and my family was touched by youth suicide during that time, and it really shined a light on the need for open and honest conversations, especially as a young person, about mental health. And it's something that has transformed into the grassroots initiative that is Do It for Darren, another really important cause through the Royal as well. So that was something that touched me really early on in my family and our hockey community, that really kind of propelled this idea of genuine care and genuine mental health care, and having awareness and open dialogue about it. And so I think I've sort of taken that through for the rest of my life so far. And, I've had friends and family who've also had their own mental health struggles, and trying to be a support network during a challenging season of their lives too. So I think it's just something that, I've grown up with, and I've tried to take into every facet of my life. And again, professionally as well, I've seen employees struggle with mental health and take time off for burnout. And, I've seen the impact, both mental and physical, of what this can sometimes manifest as. And I think just trying to really be compassionate and have time and space for, again, all seasons of life as well.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and in terms of, what my call to action would be, it's through Women Driving Growth, we're trying to create these spaces to amplify women leadership and women voices in the room. But I think it's also important, just as business owners, to recognize and propel the need for measuring success by mental health, taking breaks, making sure that it's part of our community, because at the end of the day, successful businesses are going to be the ones that are really rewarding strong, powerful employees that take time and recognize the importance of mental health care in their own lives as well.
Oh, well, I think that is a brilliant exclamation point on this conversation. That's a great way to end this discussion, Melissa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having
really
me.
appreciate your perspective, and really thank you for your commitment to this cause, but also to the leadership that you're bringing to your firm. And I am excited to see what you do next. I'm looking forward to collaborating.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
Awesome. Thanks,
you,
Melissa.
Carmen.